called from his loan spell at Hull because he was expecting to stay there till the end of the season, but he's back now with Saints, isn't he? And that's all covering for Regan Grace, who's played his last game for St Helens after rupturing Achilles, ruling him out for the rest of the season. When I said he's dead to us, Alan, I didn't mean I wanted him to never play again, but...
I've got to say, you haven't been sniping him from the terraces, have you?
Yeah, but like... The tries that Cass scored, one was from a scrum, one was from a decent passing play, but they weren't like extravagant passing plays. They were just like get to the edge and finish in the smallest of spaces. And maybe if they'd have done more of that sooner, they might have had a better chance. Maybe if Richardson had brought his kicking boots, they might have had more of a chance. Was it Richardson kicking? Or I assume it was.
It was for most of them until McShane had a go with the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but they were tough kicks. Don't get me wrong, and it just, and it always felt like Saints had enough. And if they needed it, they could have done a bit more. Cass were never quite good enough. They weren't bad, but they were never quite good enough. And yeah, it lacked that intensity, like you said.
I have to say, I thought Cass were really bad. Not so much. I mean, yeah, you pointed out some defensive deficiencies without question, but the number of times the ball. The passing was so poor. Balls into touch or balls hitting the ground or kind of difficult passes to take. It felt like it wasn't really until the last 20 minutes when they actually realised how to actually string a group of passes together.
It almost felt like neither team felt they had anything to gain from winning this match.
Yeah, this is the weird, like, kind of low intensity feeling to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do have to call out two things that we've seen in the game. A 20-40.
Oh, of course, Johnny Lomax, great kick.
20-40. Well, we need to talk about that. And a Sasai Feki, both of which have been cited.
I think we've seen more 20-40s than we've seen Sasai Feki appearances, but. So that one was even more remarkable, I guess. And in a weird way as well, when he came on, it kind of tied up with when Cass started to have a bit more vibrancy in attack. He didn't get his hands on the ball too many times, but he was on that edge. He was in that channel.
Yeah, no, obviously, he's had a terrible time with injuries, but yeah, it's ironic it's taken him this long to play, but. Yeah, it was all right, but yeah, I understand why people weren't bashing our door down with match reviews. It was a bit Limp Lettuce-like, I would say.
Danny Richardson has signed a new 2-year contract extension with an option for a third year on that for Castleford Tigers. I think he's improved. This year, I think he's still not a great defender, but I think he's a better defender than he was, and clearly is earned that deal. No one else seemed to be sniffing around him, so having looked like he was going to be leaving, he's now signed a new long-term deal. So you got to credit him.
Yeah, he was by no means the worst performer on at the weekend, I would say. But yeah, no, I think he's probably earned a bit of a longer stay in the team, I would say. But yeah, overall, my impression was it was disappointing to watch, and it was difficult to see Cass play so poorly for 60 minutes of the match, I would say. The
next game later on Sunday, the most pivotal game, I think, of the round this week. Leeds Rhinos 34, Salford 14. It was 18-8 to the Rhinos at half-time. They started really well, and they finished pretty well with the help of an extra man for the last 10 minutes or so as well. 14,668 shows that their family day worked at Leeds. Ben Thaler was the referee. In terms of the team stats, Salford made slightly more metres, a slightly better average game with 2 more breaks, but also 2 more errors and 5 more penalties conceded. Leeds recovered from a 4.8% worst team tackle success rate for a 5 tries to 3 victory. What I'm saying there is basically the stats don't really support a 20-point win.
Not really. For Leeds, Ash Handley with a try and 175 metres, David Fussatua with 126 metres and 2 clean breaks, Cam Smith with 112 metres, and Harry Newman with a try and 109 metres. For Salford, Ken Seo with his obligatory try and 154 metres, Brodie Croft with a try assist, 10 tackle busts, 114 metres and 2 clean breaks, Dion Cross with 110 metres, and Elijah Taylor with a try assist, 40 tackles, 11 of which were from Marker.
Do you want to do the first fan view, because the other two came in after the rundown?
So Tom Andrew says, the battle for sixth won by Leeds. From the highlights, looked more like a Salford implosion than an orchestrated win for the Rhinos. Oh, and some forward passes thrown in for that. Mwah. Vintage Leeds style. Shame Caesar got a ban. Not.
That Caesar one, I mean, that unlike the Price one, where you can understand the officials not seeing it, that should have been spotted. I mean, all the officials should have been looking at that. It was the first carry off a scrum, and he basically was stepped and just threw his leg out. He got a grade C charge anyway. 2 match penalty notice for him, because obviously he hasn't had previous, I suppose. But yeah, actually, disciplinary wise, Leeds have had a bit of a hammering out of this. Reece Martin, who scored all the points in this match, got a grade A dangerous contact charge, 1 match penalty notice for him. I think that comes off the back of him having a recent charge that he didn't pick up a ban for. And David Fussatua got a grade C high tackle, 2 match penalty notice for him as well. So yeah. Callum Pearson 99 said, after seeing the highlights, I thought there were some very dubious decisions that could have swung the game in the opposite direction. Hope this doesn't affect Salford come the end of the season. And Leighton Rhino said, strap yourself in for this one, kids. Leighton Rhino said, this felt like a playoff game. Really pleased our defence held up. Maybe that is the last thing we are fixing up for a late charge. Rowan has instilled so much confidence. Even Bodine is playing well. The Ben RFL disciplinary can try their best to stop us, but I think we can get to Old Trafford and then who knows? Talk about instilling confidence.
You might not even make the playoffs at this.
Well, he thinks they're getting to Old Trafford. That is confidence.
Hey, I'll tell you what, give a Leeds fan a bit of form, and they don't half come out the woodwork again.
I really enjoyed when I saw that one, because it came in late. I definitely read it before we started. I mean, I might look stupid if they do get to Old Trafford, but there's a long way to go. But they are in the playoffs now, and they are playing. They are playing well. They certainly started this game well, didn't they? And they've got some they've got some players missing now, but through bans. But they've got Harry Newman back, and he's class. I mean, the try he scored, Tim Laffey tried to pull him out of the play, didn't he? When the kind of passing move went past him, Tim Laffey gave him a pull. Lesser players might have reacted and waved their arms about, but what Harry Newman did is just kept running, supported, and scored the try still anyway.
Yeah, he's been superb, and it really has shown what Leeds had been missing while he was out for so long.
Yeah. On those dubious decisions, I didn't notice too many blatant, definite forward passes, I have to say, but I did think I would have wanted to see a reverse angle of Reece Martin's first try, because the ref was in the best position to give it, and he had a bloke next to him helping him out as well. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the officials didn't get it right, but there was no obvious grounding from the footage that you saw. So yeah, but Leeds definitely started better and finished better in the match. That's kind of the main takeaway, I thought, of a overarching view on it.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. Obviously, I think Salford clung in there, but Hanley's interception, I think, was just the nail in the coffin, I would say, at the end.
Yeah, decisive moment. And that was before the late sin bin in as well. So I think the Hanley interception was the thing that took the game away from Salford, and then the sin bin in, which Rowley questioned a bit, but I don't think he questioned it as much as the headlines on the news articles tried to make out he questioned it, because he just said it was strange because he didn't realise 3 6-agains in the same set of defending would result in a sin bin in. But that's what prevented Salford from getting back into the game, but I think the game was away from them at that. I think Leeds had taken the game away from them with the Hanley interception.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Leeds. I can understand the excitement from a Leeds fan. They are looking way more dynamic, way more exciting. We said the same about Salford last week, didn't we? You haven't asked the question, but my kind of pick. I think both Leeds and Salford will be in the top 6 come the end of the year.
I think they can be if we're reacting to that dull Cass performance. They can be, but Cass have got something to say, I think, too. Still, and Hull. We'll get to the standings in a minute, but Salford. You know what? I think you can still be excited if you're a Salford fan anyway, because the tries they scored. You know, the offloading and the quick hands for the Burgess try were great on the left side, and then similarly for the CO try, there was a lot of offloading from the left through to the middle, and then Brodie Croft threw a wonderful long pass out to Ken CO. You know, they scored nice tries still. I guess the fact that they had to go to that level of late offloads and great passes to score does suggest that Leeds' defence was pretty robust though as well, other than on the Brodie Croft try.
Yeah, I just think that obviously people were wowed about their performance last week, and whilst they didn't win this week, you can still see the DNA of the team, can't you, in the way that they're playing?
Yeah.
So I think that's positive, whereas I think if I'm a Cass fan and the last 2 weeks of games that I've seen, I'd probably be a bit worried, if that makes sense. I think Cass's form is way below what Salford's form is at the moment, and the table's very tight. So, as I said, I'd still favour Salford in terms of potential, but I appreciate that Cass are kind of the incumbents as it stands.
Yep. Last game to talk about: Wakefield 16, Catalans 20. It was 16-4 to Catalans at half-time, so Wakefield did have a fight back. 3,227 were there. The demolition of the old East Stand is underway. The roof had all but gone. I didn't know if there's any asbestos flying around in the air still to worry about for the players, but Tom Grant was the referee. In terms of team stats, Catalan made more ground, although Wakefield made ground at a better average game, but Catalans had 2 more breaks. Catalans also made more errors and dished up a sub 90% team tackle success rate, but then they were on the better end of the penalty count. So swings and roundabouts, and kind of backing up that there would be a close game.
Indeed. For Catalan, Atamog with 2 try assists, 6 tackle busts, 156 metres and 2 clean breaks. Tom Davies with 147 metres and 2 clean breaks. Atarimano 137 metres. Fujiaha with 3 tries and 103 metres and 2 clean breaks. For Wakefield, Jamie Shaw with a try, 11 tackle busts, 140 metres and 2 clean breaks. Lee Kershaw with 130 metres. Kalepi Tanganoa with 119 metres. And Lewis Murphy with a try and 117 metres.
Tom Andrews said, "Glue those wooden spoons back together, Cass lads. It's not over yet."
Wakey White says, "A decent arm wrestle of a game, but Wakey were their own worst enemies at times, conceding 5 penalties for offside, with Catalan pinned inside their own 20, throwing a couple of first tackle knock-ons and a ludicrous head high right in front of the sticks when we were searching for the equaliser just summed it up. Still a win or 2 needed for Trin to escape the bin."
McNamara was really pleased with this result, weren't he? He came out sort of saying it was one of the best wins he's ever had, and it does look a bit like a backs to the wall finish with Catalans kind of hanging on in the end. They did have a lot of players out, didn't they? A lot of their leadership players as well out, you know, some big names out. Tom Davies a surprise return. I didn't realise he was going to be back, but yeah.
That's why I sounded surprised. I thought he was out for the year.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think I said last week I thought he was out for the year. It's interesting. You know, interesting stuff, weren't it? That he was there, but gritty from Catalans.
Yeah, I think this is a penalty goals did matter in this match. We've criticised teams for kicking